may have seen his videos. I'm sure you've heard of him before if you've been on this channel. But today, we are interviewing the one and only Shappy Gaming? What? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Rise of Kingdoms gameplay episode from your very own Shappy Gaming. And today, we are interviewing Shappy Gaming. How is this happening? Well, we're gonna find out. But without further ado, welcome Shappy to the Shappy Squad. How are you doing today? What is up, Shappy Squad? Thank you so much for having me on the channel. I'm Shappy, a sponsored Rise of Kingdoms content creator, and I'm so pumped to be on the interview with a content creator series. Honestly, it took you long enough. Well, that's awesome. Welcome to the channel, although I have a sneaking suspicion that you have been here before. But for those of you who don't know who you are, Shappy, tell us about yourself. Who are you? What's your background? Yeah, I'm so glad you asked. Well, my name's Shappy. I've been playing mobile games and video games for years. In fact, growing up, I used to have a PlayStation 2, and I would play all sorts of different games. And I didn't really get into mobile games really up until I found Rise of Kingdoms, which I know is wild, but I was actually looking for like Civilization on my phone. I really loved playing Civ 5, Civ 6. If anyone's a big fan of those, comment section, let me know. But I just kind of found Rise of Kingdoms, and that was it. And I've been hooked. I started playing in 2019, back in March of 2019, and we're just at about, 4, 5 years now. It's pretty crazy. Shappy, what games do you play? Obviously, we found you through Rise of Kingdoms. I'm sure most of the people know your channel because of that, but what games do you play? What brought you to YouTube? How did you end up here? And why should anyone care? Oh man, well, that's a really good question. So I play a bunch of different games. I actually used to be really into first-person shooters. So when I first started my YouTube channel, I was creating Call of Duty content. I created a whole playthrough of Call of Duty Vanguard, and I used to stream it. And I also thought, I love playing Minecraft. I'm gonna play Minecraft and people are gonna watch it. No one really watched it. And I also said, okay, well, I grew up playing Ratchet and Clank, the Ratchet and Clank series for PlayStation. And I had a lot of fun playing it. And I was like, I haven't really seen any playthroughs of this. This is a great series. I'm going to create content on it. No one watched it. It wasn't until I really started making Rise of Kingdoms content that the channel started growing. And I'm convinced that even now the algorithm is not the biggest fan of my channel because I did start with that different kind of content. So it's been a little bit of a learning experience here. It's been kind of a journey, but I think for me, when I started YouTube, my goal was to create entertaining content that everyone would enjoy. I didn't start with Rise of Kingdoms. That wasn't really what I was thinking about. But I started making content for Rise of Kingdoms because I was playing the game. I had played for, 2 years at that point. And I thought, you know what? I know a thing or two about this game, and I want to be able to share that with people. And I wanted to help people out and show them, how fun Rise of Kingdoms could be, and also help them prevent making some of the same mistakes I made in the early game, because I don't really want to see anyone go through that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Shappy, and I totally understand. We've interviewed a lot of other content creators on the channel, and they kind of have a similar story, although most of them actually did start creating content specifically for Rise of Kingdoms, and that was like their origin story as part of their YouTube. But it's interesting that you didn't. I guess what I'm really curious about is, are we going to be seeing more different games on the channel again, or was that like a one and done? You found it didn't really work out, and now you're all Rise of Kingdoms. Which can we really expect from you? Because I think that matters to the community, and also it seems to matter to you, because as you said, Rise of Kingdoms wasn't your main game originally. You just kind of stumbled into it. Yeah, I think at this point I'm probably not going to be making content for other games beyond games that I get sponsored for. I think that's been one thing that kind of caught me off guard, is I've gotten sponsored for games, which is really exciting, because when I started the YouTube channel, I didn't really ever think of it like that. I think from a revenue standpoint, my goal was I want to cover the costs of the spending, right? Rise of Kingdoms can be pretty expensive, and I wanted to make sure I got those costs covered. But I've gotten the opportunity to play different games. Age of Empires Mobile has sponsored me. I have other folks reaching out to me, and some new games that are going to be played on this channel because of sponsorships. And maybe that will translate into me playing other games on the channel. But for the most part at this point, I'm really set into being a Rise of Kingdoms channel. I think that's just what makes the most sense, if I'm going to be honest. And that's what people come to the channel to watch. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think we see that generally. You do see some creators trying to jump out and jump into different genres. I know Shinshi tried to do that. Maybe it'll work for him. I hope it does. But it is very hard for other creators to pivot. I think there are only a handful that I've seen be really successful. I know Oppo plays a bunch of other games. Chisgul plays a bunch of other games. But they are playing all the time. And they're also full-time. And I know you are only part-time YouTube. So that makes a lot of sense to me. So I totally understand. But as you said, we're here for Rise of Kingdoms. Let's actually jump into Rise of Kingdoms. And can you walk me through your account? Kind of what we can see here, what are you in Rise of Kingdoms? What troop type do you like to use? Things like that. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. I'm currently right around like 79, 80 million power. I'm in Kingdom 3265. I've been in a bunch of kingdoms. I started in Kingdom 1304. That was way back when. I've been in Kingdom 1841. I've been in Kingdom 2389. I've been in Kingdom 2120. I've been in Kingdom 1079. I've been playing this game for a long time, and my KVK stats really don't show it. I only have like 4.8 million kill points. It's not great. Hopefully it goes up now that I'm investing in a ranged march, which we'll see. I'm excited. I think it could be a good thing. I do have a lot of dead. I think that's one of the things I've always loved doing is I have like 27 million dead, and that makes me feel really good when I look at my account because it does show that I've been playing for a long time, and I enjoy that. From a march standpoint, I consider myself a cavalry primary. I know, infantry sims, don't come at me in the chat. I consider myself a cavalry primary, though I secretly loathe Ho Chu Bing. Everyone always asks me, they're like, Shappy, why do you dislike him so much? I don't know. It's single target commander. Nevsky did it first. I just don't think he's that memorable, guys. Whatever. Hot take. But yeah, typically I'd say I'm a cavalry main. That's what I'd go for. Although that's becoming less and less popular. My marches are, I run Ho Chu Bing with Arthur. I run Zug with Herman, although that may be swapped out to Gashimata with Cordoba. We'll see. I run Ragnar Scipio or Scipio Ragnar, whichever you prefer. I run William Wallace Luce, and I run Nevsky Joan. And that's done pretty well for me. I want to see how Range is going to mix it up. I think it will be pretty good, but we'll have to see. I think that's one of the exciting things about the game is it does continuously change. And for me, like, I'm not going to be a whale. I'm not going to be spending a lot. In fact, I used to be a rally commander. That was me. I was rally and garrison, and even now my account is scarred from it. I used to have Gilgamesh maxed, and thank goodness for the swap because that saved my butt. But yeah, I used to rally cities and structures back when Attila was in the meta. It was Attila Takeda all day, every day. I had Zeno maxed. I had Zeno Flavius back when that was the meta. And I really enjoyed doing that, but then they introduced Crystal Tech, and that just kind of ruined that play style for me. I couldn't do it quite as much anymore. And because I'm not a whale and I'm not maxing out my Crystal Tech, I had to like completely pivot my account, which is part of the challenge, I think, is I did spend a lot of KVKs there trying to save up gold heads to invest in commanders that were in the current meta. And I think that was challenging for me. I think if I could go back, I would do things differently than I did right now. Oh man, I can only imagine. With armaments being introduced too, I could totally see how that messed up everything in your account. I'm so sorry that you had to go through that, but it happens. Not everyone watches videos from when they first start. I know some people like Gaines have great accounts that they never messed up on, but not everyone can be like that. So it sounds like you've been playing the game for a while. You've got a pretty good setup at this point. Why are you still playing? What keeps you interested? What keeps you excited? I mean, the game's constantly changing, but what is keeping you engaged after 5 or 6 years now? And it's your anniversary. It's crazy. Yeah, I think Rise of Kingdoms is just one of those games that's really special. When I first started, there was no concept of KVK. Like, it didn't exist. And then they introduced KVK. And it was KVK 1, and you played KVK 1 like numerous times. and then they had KVK2, and then they had KVK3. I must have played 3 or 4 Light versus Darkness KVKs before they ever introduced Season of Conquest. So like the first year or so of my time playing Rise of Kingdoms, there was no Crystal Tech, there was no equipment, there wasn't really even KVK, which is why my time in 1304 was so special to me. But I think one of the things Lilith has done is they've continuously added value to the game. Some updates I haven't been the biggest fan of, cough, cough, Crystal Tech, cough, cough, armaments. But I do think by and large, they've done a really good job of keeping the game interesting. They've added new commanders. They've added new civilizations. They have spiced things up. They added armaments, which gave me something else to chase after to my own dismay. But overall, I think they've done a pretty good job of keeping the game fresh. And I think a lot of games fall short of that, where they just build out key functionality and then it's done. Unfortunately, I think Lilith has also focused really heavily on monetizing the game, which has widened the gap between free to play and pay to win. And that's, I think, a little bit of a bummer. I know there was a video that was made pretty recently. I'm sure it'll be linked above my head or something, talking about why Crystal Tech's not the most fair thing in the world. But to be honest, I think what's kept me playing this game so long has been the game is continuously evolving. The community is spectacular. Since creating my YouTube channel, I have met so many amazing people and I've made so many good friends, both in real life as in game. And it's been really, really pleasant. And everyone you talk to says how great the community is. But I think it's the community. I think it's the innovation. When we got to play the new Siege type KVK, that was so much fun. Being able to play and 0 gains and 0 everyone else and try out the skirmishers before it was even live. That was so fun. They keep changing things and adding new functionalities. This T6 KVK, I don't know how I feel about it, but they did bring back the Alliance tech, which I've been asking for months. So I think what Lilith does is they keep introducing new things. Some are going to be good, some are not going to be good. I think they're kind of throwing stuff to the wall and seeing what sticks. What I'd like to see is, they added Smite, they added Mighty Healing, they added all these different functionalities. I want to see them explore that a little bit more, because one of the challenges I see is they keep adding all these new things, but at the same time, they're not fleshing them out enough to make it so there's any value in actually investing in them, which I see as being kind of a big problem with the game, and one of the things that I hope they fix going forward. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and all of the stuff you're saying, I've thought the same thing. I think that they have done a really great job building out this game. The community has been spectacular, and it's been so supportive to all the different creators, and the creator community itself is also really, really valuable. So I just wanted to say thank you for coming on, Shappy. I know this has been a very challenging video for you to make. I can only imagine the amount of time going into editing. But for everyone watching, if you have enjoyed, do be sure to hit that subscribe button right over there, bottom right hand corner, and hit the bell so you get notified when new episodes come out. This has been a very special episode of our Interview with a Content Creator series. Now, without further ado, Shappy on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Shappy out.